What's up, my comic comrades? Recently, Todd McFarlane announced for the first time in Spawn's history, he would be creating and releasing several monthly ongoing Spawn spin-off titles. Some of which include Gunslinger Spawn, The Scorched, and the comic we're talking about today, King Spawn. He's essentially creating an interconnected universe of Spawn books, which I'm honestly kind of surprised it took this long for him to do, considering how successful Spawn has been since his creation in the 90s. In any case, today we're talking about King Spawn Issue 1, which is the first of the new ongoing Spawn titles to drop. But before we dive in, we want to thank Keeps for sponsoring today's episode. You know that feeling when you love your hair, but it seemingly doesn't feel the same way? When you start seeing less and less of your hair, and no matter how hard you try, it seems to be becoming more and more distant. Well, I've got some good news. Your hair life doesn't have to end in a divorce like mine did, because Keeps makes it easy to do something about it early on and keep your luscious locks in place. With Keeps, it's a simple 3-step process. Just go to keeps.com/variantcomics and start by setting a time to talk with a licensed doctor online from wherever you are. The doctor will then review your information and recommend the right hair loss treatment for you. Next, you get to skip the lines at the pharmacy because your treatment will be delivered right to your front door every 3 months. And because Keeps offers generic versions of the FDA-approved medications for hair loss, you're also going to save some cash in the process. Anyway, once you get your prescription in hand, all you have to do is follow your prescribed plan and start tracking your progress. You just have to remember that Keeps treatments typically take between 4 to 6 months to see results, so you want to get started as soon as possible. Keeps also supports your march towards a hairier future throughout the journey with 24/7 access to your Keeps doctor, who can answer any questions you might have, which is just one of the reasons Keeps has more 5-star reviews than any of its competitors, and why hundreds of thousands of men already trust Keeps for their hair loss prevention. And that includes our very own Tim Conley, co-host of Variant the Podcast. So keep your hair present and happy by heading over to keeps.com/variantcomics, or click our link in the description to get 50% off your first order of hair loss treatment. Again, that's keeps.com/variantcomics. But now let's see where McFarlane and series writer Sean Lewis plan to take Spawn as we venture into a whole new era of the character with King Spawn. King Spawn Issue 1 starts off with a kindergarten teacher asking his students, "Anyone here know what the Bible is?" One of the kids answers, "My mom says it's like a comic book." Another kid says, "Oh, I know, there's a lot of monsters in there, I think. Right, Mr. Reynolds?" Mr. Reynolds replies, "No monsters, Simon, just love." He then reaches into his bag saying, "I'll read you my favorite passage," while pulling out his phone saying, "Just let me set something first." He then tells them, "Now listen up, this is all about you guys." One of the kids says, "Mr. Reynolds, your phone is beeping." He tells her, "Don't worry, there's not much time, you need to hear this. Happy shall he be." And then as we turn the page, we see the classroom blow up from the outside of the school, with captions finishing Mr. Reynolds' sentence saying, "Happy shall he be who takes us and slams the little ones against the stones." This is how they always start, by targeting, then feasting, in as spectacular fashion as they can on those too innocent to defend themselves. We then get more panels of the explosion from different angles, with captions continuing to say, "And the saddest part is, humanity is unaware that heaven and hell have been attacking them for centuries." Sometimes just for sport, other times with a specific purpose to draw out their enemy, as we see a memorial laid out for all the kids who died in the explosion. Now I'm sure you pieced it together by now, but I'm just gonna say it in case. The teacher, Mr. Reynolds, blew himself and the kids up by activating a bomb on the cell phone. Why? Well, Spawn and Jessica Priest, aka She Spawn's conversation, is about to tell us. Now at a cemetery, we see the two talking, with Jessica saying, "I checked with one of my contacts in DC. Their investigation shows no prior record for the teacher. He taught 30 years without incident." Spawn replies, "So he just ascends to the pearly gates with his arms full of trophies?" She answers, "That's what you think those children were? Trophies?" He tells her, "Not to me, to them." At this point, Mark, Spawn's guy in the chair, says, "Al, do you read? I've searched, but I'm not seeing any connections to the shadow players. I think this is all human." Spawn tells him, "Then look again." Mark replies, "I've been over it 5 times. Spawn responds saying, "Then do it a 6th. I'm watching a mother bury her son. My gut says if we can't find something, this will happen again." Jessica then says, "He's doing the best he can. You may want to ease up a little." Spawn tells her, "Mark's a big boy. He can handle it." I'm more concerned about the mother over there, who has to deal with the fact that she'll never see her son, Simon, ever again. Surely you could relate to that. I know you're a mom. So what would be going through your head right now? Pain? Sorrow? Anger? You'd have all that, but you'd want answers too. Like why something this horrible happened in the first place, as we see Simon's mother leaving her son's grave. But Jessica responds saying, "Because mankind does stupid and horrific things every day. Mothers have been grieving for centuries at the senselessness of their lost children. What makes this tragedy so unique?" He tells her it's a message, and someone is trying to direct it at me. He then shows her something he found in the rubble of the explosion, telling her it's called a sigil. And that symbol tells the whole prophecy of what the person behind this is planning. He goes on to say, "I haven't completely deciphered it yet, but part of it says it won't be the only attack. I'll need other shadow agents to decode the rest." Jessica then tells him, "You're saying they killed a bunch of kids just to get your attention?" He replies, "I told you, we're dealing with the soulless." She then says, "I can't deal with this now. If we're part of the reason those kids are dead, least we can do is pay our respects." As she turns around looking for Al, she sees he's gone. We then get captions of Spawn saying, Standing next to the dirt doesn't show anyone respect. The parents need answers. And if they knew why this all happened, they'd want vengeance too. We then see Spawn start his search for the reason of these children's death across the city, with him saying to himself, "Time's against me. I could feel their clock ticking." The sigil also says there's a list somewhere, files with names of every shadow player stuck here on Earth. The demons and angels hiding in human skin among us. I'm sure the bomb-happy teacher was one of them. Whoever he served, those that planned it, they want to be found. Hoping the media will fill the airwaves with sensational headlines about dead children. Or politicians on TV saying thoughts and prayers. Fine, they can have their prayers. At some point though, they'll realize God isn't answering any of them. We are then taken to Senator Raphael's office where he's on the phone talking to another senator saying, "I swear to God, Senator, if you try making this about anything but grieving parents and innocent children, I'll ruin you. You hear me? I'll bury you on the Christmas strategy committee till you become totally irrelevant. And I don't give a crap if you're Jewish." He goes on to tell the senator exactly how he's going to handle the situation publicly before getting off the phone. After he does, we see a woman in the shadows saying, "I swear to God, that was a nice touch." He responds, "Yes, I have a hard time forgetting my roots." With her saying to him, "Heaven needs more archangels like you, Mr. Raphael. I think you deserve a little reward for your efforts." He replies, "I'll take whatever you're offering, Miss Leviathan." But just as the two are about to get busy, Spawn crashes the party, with him saying, "How disappointed would your masters be if they saw their loyal servants in the arms of their enemies?" He says this because Raphael is an archangel and Miss Leviathan is a demon, who just so happen to fall in love with one another. A supernatural version of Romeo and Juliet, if you will. Raphael then asks, "Spawn, why are you here? We had a deal." He replies, "I need you to read this for me, Senator," while throwing the sigil at him. He then grabs Miss Leviathan saying, "You want your satanic mistress in one piece? Do what I ask." The senator replies, "Okay, just leave her alone. If I do this, no one finds out, you don't say a word." Spawn replies, "Let's get something straight. This isn't a negotiation. I'm calling the shots. Now read." The senator says, "It says there's a group, a terrorist cell of some kind, and some files. But the biggest part says they're following the Psalms 137, about killing children to get their God to reveal himself." Spawn asks, "Who's directing them?" The senator replies, "Can't tell." At which point, Spawn grabs his mistress by the mouth even tighter, saying, "You're a bad liar, Pete. We've been through this before. You've got 3 seconds to level with me." The senator then answers, "Metatron." Spawn asks, "He's on Earth?" Pete tells him, "What, you thought only warriors or agents got stuck here? No. You trapped some heavy hitters when you locked the dead zones." If you're wondering who Metatron is, don't worry, Spawn is about to tell us on the next page. Although a Transformer would be a good guess. Spawn asks, "Any clue where he might be?" Pete responds, "The sigil indicates it's the same place where hell birthed you," with Spawn saying, "New York." We are then taken to New York where we see Metatron walking, with captions of Spawn saying, "Metatron, I know the lore. He was born human but somehow conned his way into becoming one of God's hand-picked angels, the only human to ever do so. He ended up like I did, a pawn to be toyed with by his master. But why now? If he's been here all this time, what's taken him so long to make his move? And why use children for his bait when there's plenty of adult targets to choose from?" We then see Metatron try and look at the school explosion on his phone, with the homeless man coming up behind him saying, "Spare change for a guy down on his luck?" Metatron answers, "Did I say you could touch me?" The homeless man replies, "Relax, just wanted to see what you were watching." "What is it, some kind of action movie? I always like those." Metatron tells him, "Stop talking, listen," as he starts whispering in the homeless man's ear. The homeless man then says, "Why are you in my head? Stop yelling. You're too loud. I can't," as his head explodes, with Metatron walking away. Later that night, we see Sam and Twitch arrive on the scene investigating the body, with Spawn looking on from a rooftop of a building nearby saying, "Once I find him, then what?" Metatron's vocal cords can damage human ears with a whisper. Don't know what it'll do to my symbiote-covered ears. Which explains how he blew up this homeless man's head. A little bit after this, we see Spawn finally track down Metatron, but when he kicks in the door, he sees Metatron's blown up body scattered across the entire room, with the monitors covered in spray paint saying, "Here lies Metatron. He wasn't strong enough for our case," with captions saying the body of Metatron is splattered everywhere. His body literally ripped limb from limb, making him just a pawn in all of this too, and whoever did it wants to show Spawn how powerful it is. The kids, New York. Now this, someone is letting Spawn know there's a debt to settle with him, but who? Who the hell is doing this? After this, we see a cult in a catacomb somewhere underground, with the leader saying, "God told us that he would kill the firstborn sons of Egypt, that his was the way of righteousness." In Leviticus, he says, "Eat the flesh of your sons." And in Psalms 137, the Lord implores us to do what? The followers reply all at once saying, "Smash the heads of the little ones." With the leader answering, "Precisely, and so my flock will leave a pile of bodies so high the entire world will mourn. That's when he'll come, when our king will reveal himself. And we shall deliver him all the glory and all the punishment he so richly deserves. All hail King Spawn." As we see this mystery man sitting in a chair in front of monitors, replaying the explosion from the school, clearly telling us this is the dude who's behind everything. But with that, the story comes to an end. Now that's the main story, but there is 4 backup stories. The first one is titled Haunt, which is a brief story that shows us the character Haunt, created by Todd McFarlane and Robert Kirkman, who is also going to be playing a role in these upcoming Spawn titles. We even see Redeemer save him after he was almost stabbed to death by his girlfriend Linda, who turned out to be a supernatural being who who just wanted to kill him. Anyway, Haunt asks the Redeemer, "Why did you save me?" He tells him, "Because of your brother. If it wasn't for him, I would truly be blind. I promise I'd repay his favor. Next time you see him, tell him we're even." We then get another short story titled Nightmare, which introduces a brand new character to us called Nightmare. And he's called Nightmare because, as he tells his traders, because I can extract your black souls and make it ooze on your body. Then scoop maggots from the rotting carcasses of other traders so you could taste the sweet nectar of betrayal. Yeah, this dude is no joke, and he seems like he's going to be a big player as the series continues. The third backup story in the issue is titled Hero, which introduces yet another new character called Comox. We learn in the backup story is a superpowered being that a little boy named Alex can control. It actually seems pretty dope. And the last backup story is titled Gunslinger, which essentially just gives us a brief recap of Gunslinger's mission and purpose going forward, which is to kill the people who killed his sister Amy. Gunslinger is easily one of my favorite Spawn characters, so you can bet once Gunslinger Spawn issue 1 drops in October, we're going to be talking about it here on the channel. But there you have it, guys, a recap of King Spawn issue number 1. All in all, I really enjoyed the issue. It's extremely dark, as you would expect from a Spawn story. I mean, the issue literally starts off with the teacher killing a classroom full of kids, and it sets up a dark plot of some evil force wanting to sacrifice children. But obviously, Spawn isn't about to let that happen. Then the reintroduction of Haunt was pretty cool, the teasers for the brand new characters Nightmare and Comox seem cool, and then of course, Gunslinger Spawn is back, and I can't wait for him to get his own solo series in October. Anyway, let us know if you guys want us to continue covering King Spawn and the rest of the Spawn titles as they're released throughout the year. But as always, after recapping an issue, we want to know, what did you guys think? Let us know down in the comments. First up, for the week of September 8th, we have the Amazing Spider-Man issue 73. Apparently, Marvel can't tell us a single thing that happens here without spoiling just about every issue that's come out between the time of you reading this and Amazing Spider-Man 73. Meaning, if you're a Spidey fan, read this. Now we have Batman Catwoman issue 7. When Batman begins to doubt Catwoman's allegiance, it leads to trouble on the streets of Gotham. Who does Selina support? Joker, Phantasm, or the Dark Knight? And finally, we have Infinite Frontier issue 6. One story ends and the next phase of the DC multiverse begins. We have one name for you: Darkseid. Our heroes knew that someone had been pulling the strings this entire time, but are they prepared for it being the biggest bad of all? And that's going to bring today's episode of Variant to a close, but if you like today's video, be sure to check out this one right here. And if you like all of our content, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. It always helps the channel grow. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things comics.